Hello and welcome to what is an afternoon broadcast, in the sense that I'm in Sansom Woods, which is a place I've not been to for some time, and not unlike Lathkill, it's the scene of some forestry work. However, despite the deeply rutted tracks that I'm wandering along, the loggers, the foresters in this case, have tidied up after themselves. So I can't see any branches strewn across the walkway or the way in which we're going. Well, it's been an interesting week. I sometimes wonder whether it is my want, whether I'm actually here to take part in all manner of legal issues or lawful issues. And this week I've been back in court, and this time it was it's a matter of a personal nature. I might put some information about it at a later point, but right now I'm not going to go into detail. Suffice to say, it was in the family court, and it was a hearing on video, so an online hearing. Let's just say, at one point I felt like a fox, maybe a silver fox, that was caught between three hound dogs. For the judge was a woman, the respondent is a woman, and the third party is a woman. And there I was, the only bloke on camera. And I do wonder, sometimes I find it all a little bit too shallow. There are certain issues that the courts seem to shy away from, even though they are pertinent to the matter in hand. And in this case, I'm talking about a potential embezzlement of a family inheritance, which was very pertinent to the situation in hand. But nobody, apart from me, in the court yesterday, wished to go into the details. It's like, okay, well, we're not going into that today. We haven't got time to explore that. We'll just put that to one side and we'll carry on. We'll carry on regardless. So it goes. Was I surprised? Not especially. Did I get the outcome I was seeking? On reflection, it was a good outcome, because certain childcare arrangements were actually made, which, although they're a little bit onerous right now, I'm sure in the long term they will work out just fine. And of course, as we know, everything is subject to change. Everything. And so, on the subject of embezzlement, I've just got one more court issue that needs clearing up, and this one is going to be in the probate court. The application's in, and hopefully, when it's granted, I'll be able to dig deep and expose what may well be an act of embezzlement on a party close to me. And on top of that, of course, these personal issues, on top of those personal issues, we have the issue of Steve's bankruptcy. The appeal has been issued, which is good news. And there is the small matter, or should I say not inconsequential matter, of his mortgage battle with the NatWest. So, for the last 17 years, I've been pretty much going in and out of the court system, not always concerning matters of a personal nature. Sometimes I've just been, able and willing to assist others with their issues. So that's the question. Do I have to, is it something like, is it my pathway? Is it what I'm here to do? And I have to say, in and amongst it all, I do have these moments when I rather enjoy it. And in the words of the great Eustace Mullins, if you're in court and you're not enjoying yourself, then you must be doing something wrong. On a positive note, I'm very confident that this will, there's no breeze at all today anyway, so I don't think it's that relevant. But I have finally got a microphone, an external microphone, which is going to improve the quality of these transmissions no end. It's the wind that needs cutting out, and that is hopefully what I will have eliminated by way of the new microphone. On another subject, just this morning, I've been editing 4 episodes of a series that has developed over the last, well, it's been in the pipeline for the last 3.5 months, and it's called The Bullshit of Bernicia. I'm yet to decide whether to release it, because I do wonder whether the subject matter is actually of any interest to anybody, whether it's only of interest to a small audience who may have had dealings with a certain Michael John Woff, the Buddha of Bernicia, the self-styled guru, the self-styled emperor of UCT, which might perhaps better be, from henceforward, better be known as FUCT, or fucked. And I'm not sure about whether to release it, because I'm not a big fan of gossip. I'm not a big fan of putting stuff out that is of a personal nature. But when someone attacks me, is it not the case I have every right to defend myself? If someone's out in the public making false accusations about me, alleging that I am the RMMA, the raw milk magic mushroom assassin, then I do surely have the right to respond. There's no doubt about that. It's just a question of, do I want to? And is it not? Is the danger not that it will simply just kind of continue a sorry saga, a most tragic and comic episode in my life that it may be best to put behind me? However, on the other hand, there are some insights that are to be gleaned from it, and insights that will apply not just to myself but also to other people as well, particularly with regard to the question as to whether or not an individual has fallen into the trappings of a cult, whether an influential individual has acted like a cult leader, and the whys and wherefores of that. So I'd say watch this space. For now, I'm sitting on it. I'm not entirely convinced that I need to release it. I'm thinking maybe I should release it as a 4 or 5 part audio download, and then it's out there, but not release it as a roadcast. Well, maybe if you're an individual who has been affected by this and or is particularly interested in it, then just drop me a line and let me know, because if I don't hear anything, then I'm going to presume that it's only really a select number of people who are going to be genuinely interested in hearing what has been going on, and how I hold my hand up and admit that I fell for a lot of bullshit, and that perhaps I was in a cult for 16 years, even though I didn't realise it until a series of crazy events began to spool out in the late January, in the autumn and throughout the winter of 2025, 2026. It might be interesting, it might be not. And there's certainly a sense in which I'm inclined to just draw a line under the whole thing. Maybe release it and then just forget about it, because ultimately we all have to forget about it. We have to go through a period of buyer's remorse, I suppose, and then just ditch the regret, because it doesn't serve us anymore. It serves no purpose. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that we are in this year will mark the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And as always, I am very interested in matters of sovereignty, particularly individual sovereignty. And whatever you may think of the so-called founding fathers, you have to acknowledge that that was an issue that was key, a key element of the actions that they undertook. And so perhaps it isn't important that we keep coming back or it is significant that we keep coming back to this issue of individual serenity. For those of you that do listen to these roadcasts, you will be aware that time after time I extol the virtues of the individual and how it is the divine sovereign individual who is the antidote to all the kleptocracy, the hegemony and the tyrannical overreach of the state corporate. So you've got to say, well, 250 years on and it remains as big an issue as it was then. Anyway, I was reading and listening to some contemplation on this subject by a guy called, I think he's called David Williams, in which he was basically saying that the founding fathers had left the footprint in which, or the footprint or the blueprint perhaps, that is required for everyone to follow who is seeking freedom from the matrix, from the control system, from the tyrannical overreach. And he's created his own nation. And that nation is just a small island, a very remote island in the Pacific. But nevertheless, he's got his own passport, and he has actually seemingly stepped out of the various trappings of the citizenship, which is something I have mentioned before. In fact, I put out an article on it, an essay a couple of weeks ago, entitled "The Shiver Me Timbers, the Citizenship is Sinking." For it seems to me that the most blatant traps capture the unwary, and they're sprung by a collectivist mindset, and that the staunchly independent individual is not going to fall for these as readily as those who wish to belong to the collective, who seek some kind of comfort from Big Daddy State, from the government. Government literally means mind control. I used to come running around these woods back in the day. I kind of dropped off with the running when I reached the age of about 45. I didn't really see much point in it. I'd rather have a long walk, than a long run, because after all, on a walk, you have greater opportunities to pause and reflect. And of course, you don't need to be putting your body under that kind of stress. And how often do you see someone out running and they've got a smile on their face? I think rarely, if ever, will be the answer to that question. Anyway, there's a lot of pine in these woods, and I think that's what they've been logging. I mean, this is a managed plantation. It's not like Lathkill Dale, where they just went in willy-nilly and carried out a chainsaw massacre. This is more planned. So if we return to this issue of the apocalypse, the great unveiling, I'm currently of the view that if you're a wrong'un and you've got things to hide of whatever nature right now, you've got things in your closet, skeletons in your cupboard that you don't wish other people to know about, then it's going to become increasingly difficult for you to keep the doors locked, for you to keep those things covered, because this apocalypse seems to be, well, it is operating on the micro level as well as on the macro level. It's operating on a personal level as well as on the larger national and international geopolitical level. I mean, there's all kinds of whistleblowing going on. There's all kinds of financial skullduggery, malpractice, malfeasance in public office, and criminality that's been revealed right now. And a lot of it has been revealed to be absolute claptrap. You've only got to look at Donald Trump, for instance, who was ludicrously claiming that thousands of people in Iran had been killed by way of sniper attack. He's just talking out of his arse. He's just talking nonsense. And so I see it. I saw it in court yesterday. An individual talking nonsense, expressing something that was clearly at odds with the facts. And I'm incredulous when these moments happen, but I do have a wry chuckle when they occur, because I'm reminded that we are in the time of the great apocalypse, and it's rather wonderful that the wrong-uns cannot keep their crimes and misdemeanours hidden any longer. And you may be experiencing this on a personal level like I am. what's the expression? You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. Crazy times, but good in a way. Good. If you've got nothing to hide, if you're well, I don't know if virtuous is the correct term, but if you're a good individual, a kind, considerate, empathetic individual who hasn't engaged in any fraud, who hasn't engaged in any skullduggery or any criminality whatsoever, then you can quite naturally just step back from it all and watch the shit show as it unfolds, because people will reveal themselves. It's happened to me personally, and again, I'm not going to. I know it sounds like it's a bit sort of I'm tempting, or I'm teasing the listener, but all will become apparent when the time is right. I promise you, because I do need to get this out into the open insofar as these wrong-uns hate being exposed. So I think exposure, if they hate being exposed and they've done something wrong, well, the correct course of action is to expose them. Is it not? What's the expression? The truth does not fear examination. And why should it? If the truth does not fear examination, then exactly what does fear examination? Well, nobody likes to have their lies examined, that's for sure. But the funny thing is, we're at a point, I think it's going to continue for some time, but we're at a point in the great circle of history or time in which everything is becoming clearer and apparent for those who have the eyes and the ears to pay attention. And yet it can all seem so stressful at times, the uncertainty. I think you've just got to embrace it. I think you've just got to go with it. Drop the fear, drop the anxiety. For is it not all false? Is it not the case that the fear and the anxiety has no basis in reality, that there is nothing to fear, only fear itself? A platitude perhaps, but nevertheless it's a good adage to bear in mind in these times. But if I consider my position yesterday before I went into the hearing, Steve asked me if I was a bit anxious, if I was a bit nervous about it. And I have to say there was a slight, I don't know about anxiety, there's a slight feeling of intrepidation, as I suppose there would be if you've been in the courts and you know how incompetent and how shallow they are in terms of dealing with the issues. But of course I had to remind myself that in this case I was the applicant, I wasn't the respondent. I've put my truth into the court file in terms of my affidavits and my position statements. And in that regard, you know, none of which have been rebutted. So what was there for me to be fearful of? Is it just a residue of, you know, previous experiences that I've had? And if it is just a residue, then it needs to be dropped. It's no use to me whatsoever. So as it stands, this is not going to be a particularly long roadcast this week, especially as I've been talking in generalities. But, you know, this is my point. Sometimes we just need to zoom out. We need to take a more imperious stance, if you like. But as ever, I would like to thank you all for your kind support, particularly Richard Ambrose, who has very kindly bought me several coffees this last week. And if you're feeling similarly appreciative, then please consider tipping a few quid into the Royal Mail, into the Rogue Mail coffers by way of the Buy Me a Coffee button, and or taking out a subscription at Substack. As I've said before, it's but £5 a month, and it does help. In fact, it was the kind donations from appreciative viewers that helped me to buy the microphone that I'm using today. I'm also, as I said previously, putting out a weekly newsletter, and I'm aiming to do it on a Sunday, but last week's went out on Bank Holiday Monday. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please go to my website roguemail.org and fill in the subscription form there, and you will receive a weekly newsletter from yours truly. I've cancelled my verified account on X, my premium account. But if you want to contact me on X, I do still have a presence on that platform, just as I do on Facebook. If you want to contact me on either of those platforms, please do so. So we've got the roguemail.org site, we've got the Substack page, MOD800, we've got Facebook and Twitter, where I'm on as Michael O'Dara. On Facebook, you can also find my Rogue Mail page there. And I'm on Rumble and GooTube. If you're watching this on GooTube and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Please give it a thumbs up and please give it a share. And if you're feeling so inclined, drop me a comment. I will get back to you. I think we may well be on the verge of breaking the 300 mark for subscribers on GooTube. So every little helps, I suppose. Although, as I've opined before, I'm not too concerned about that. For after all, is it not more important that we concern ourselves with quality than quantity? Especially in an age where pretty much any and all of those individuals who are in the social media and have high numbers of followers and subscriptions, etc., are largely promoted by the control system, by the dark overlords who own all the media, control the algorithms, and certainly control the viewing figures on each of those platforms. Yeah, so fuck them. That's why I'm taking the time to relaunch and improve the email delivery system via the Rogue Mail website, because then I know that each email is getting directly to the individual to whom I want it to get to. And it's not about the numbers, it's about the quality of the readership and the quality of the viewership. That's all I'm interested in. Anyway, from Sansom Woods, on what is Friday the 8th of May, I'd like to wish you all, whosoever and wheresoever you might be, a most splendid weekend. I trust you're enjoying the spring, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Cheers.